It's very dim. Ta-da! Okay. Look at me titillating with my hair in Virgo season. Hiya Hinsters, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. My name is Hinny. I'm a spiritual astrologer and tarot reader, and we are back with another Moon Watch edition. This is on the new moon in Virgo. How have you been? Let us know in the comments. I hope everyone is well. It has been a little wee while. I've been quite busy, as per usual. But I did do a few more readings for you guys recently, so that was nice. And for those of you who have booked a reading, but I'm like still waiting for your data or your availability, please get in touch with me and we can finalize your reading. I do live in Korea now, so there is a time zone gap for a lot of my clients. Anyway, I hope you are well. Happy Virgo season. Check out my Virgo season video if you haven't already. And you're getting a bit of a brighter look into my living room today. I don't usually use this big bright light. I'm going to get a ring light sorted eventually. But anyway, I hope you're well and having a good Virgo season. Hello if you're just tuning in. And yeah, we are in the halfway point of the astrological year in Virgo season. And this, by the way, is going to be a short video. But the new moon, yes, the new moon in Virgo, in the mutable or double-bodied earth sign of Virgo. And I kind of wanted to title this one, I was feeling around this, or for this new moon, this phrase, like rocky takeoff. So I have that for a lot of people during this new moon. Which, by the way, is happening September 2nd / September 3rd. Officially, it's September 3rd, where I am in Korea. And it's happening at 11 degrees of Virgo. But yeah, rocky takeoffs for some people. But also this kind of, there's this word in Korean, 벗어나다, which is like to kind of like, kind of take off or shrug off or decloak and kind of, and yeah, move forward or move out. So I'm getting that as well for a lot of people during this new moon. And it can be a great time for us to do that check-in with ourselves. And that check-in, this is Virgo season, perfect time for this kind of check-in stuff, but that check-in with ourselves and the progress of any intentions or wishes that we had made in Aries season around about 6 months ago, close to 6 months ago. It's kind of like, you look in the mirror if you're trying to lose weight or gain weight. You look in the mirror and you kind of see a bit of progress, or you see a bit of what you're wanting or what you had imagined or idealized, but it's not all the way what you want. It's not, there's not satisfaction fully yet. And it's kind of like, yeah, seeing that progress, that halfway point made, and then being able in Virgo season to do kind of some loose end tying up sometimes, or just focusing or refocusing on making or continuing to make the right decisions, and also to make very sensible decisions. And I'll touch on that in a moment, but sensible decisions moving forward and through the rest of the astrological year, through the second half of the astrological year. because from Virgo season onwards, it really is more of a shutting down and kind of furling back in sort of half or side of the year. If you like, if we divide the year into a light half and a shadow half, Virgo season marks the beginning of the end of the light half. And as we get into Libra season, that's the official beginning of the shadow half of the year. And Virgo season itself is a shadow season, by the way. But yes, anyway, we have this new moon. By the way, if you don't know what new moon is, I do have a video already on my channel about new moons and full moons, where I go into more depth on both of those lunar events. But in a very, very, very small nutshell here, a new moon, well, as the name suggests, it definitely marks for a lot of people new cycles or a new beginning or a great time to set some kind of intention if that's what you want to do. And also, new moons can mark feelings or moments of feeling refreshed, like refreshment and illumination, but in a very exciting kind of way. It can have a very light, giddy sense to it as well. And new moons can just have, yeah, that excitement about them and a kind of promising, more of a promising sort of feel about them. But I do feel like this particular new moon, it's not like the most kind of vivacious new moon that we are having this astrological year, but it is pretty good, I want to say. And it does have, for a lot of people, kind of an overall, a rough sort of taking off tone to it. It does have that kind of release for some people, or that getting out or shedding kind of theme for some people. Even if there is that kind of rockiness. So I do get like this rocky takeoff, or nervousness maybe, or kind of, like Bambi on the ice in the film Bambi. When Bambi is trying to like learn to walk, it's those initial very clumsy movements and slips, but there is going to be this posture that comes, this walk that is gracefully had. And already we have Venus. She is in Libra, her domicile. She's left her fall of Virgo and is already there in Libra, leading the way, before the Sun in Virgo, leading the way and really introducing this promise of grace for a lot of people in different ways. You need to look at your birth chart to see where this kind of grace or this promise of grace is for you. So check that out and let me know where you have Virgo in your birth chart if you want. And let's get into it, shall we? So we have then, by the way, a new moon. A new moon is always a cazimi. So basically, the moon is always on the same degree and the same sign of the sun. And the moon is kind of being alchemized with the sun at this point. And there is going to be, for many people, in many ways, a secret or something new revealed as the moon leaves that cazimi, comes out the other end of that cazimi with the sun. And we have then, as the host of this new moon, Mercury, Hermes. So Mercury Hermes is the ruler of Virgo, and we may know, I did a video on this as well, that we had Mercury starting its retrograde most recently in Virgo and then moving back into Leo, and now is direct again. And still during this full moon, this new moon, we have Mercury hosting it in Leo. And also the moon, before she meets the sun, she met Mercury in Leo. So she's carrying this mercurial Leonite energy to the sun. The sun, of course, being the ruler of Leo. So we have a little bit of interesting reception. We have a closer kind of cosmic dance or conversation coming through with this mercurial transfer to the sun from the moon or via the moon. And what I want to say then with that is that there is assuredness regarding what to do and what not to do. So yes, Virgo season is always a season of decisions and choices, and it's one of the three snippy signs which I've mentioned on my channel before. That is Virgo, Cancer, and Scorpio. They are these snippy signs and seasons, and that's always there in Virgo season. But here we have kind of assuredness and more confidence, and we also have more of this kind of oomph to. We have that Venus in her masculine air domicile now leading the way, right? So we have more of that oomph to just kind of push ahead and get the feck on with it in more mature, adult, and less kind of finicky ways. And we have Saturn involved in this new moon, making an opposition to the sun and the moon from Pisces. And Saturn, as you may know, is retrograde, has been retrograde for a wee while in Pisces. And Saturn is also the ruler of oppositions. So Saturn has a big say in this new moon too. That's also what I think plays into this sense of rockiness, this rocky takeoff for some people. And I think also what should be noted here is that, so basically what is an opposition? An opposition is where, as the name suggests, two things are opposed, and we have tension, we have conflict, we have something stressful. It is considered the most challenging of the traditional aspects in astrology, and we have the ruler of oppositions themselves involved in this opposition to the new moon. So it's quite important that we pay attention to Saturn. I would look to where you have Saturn in your birth chart as the ruler. So which two houses does he rule in your birth chart? Because definitely one of the themes of those two houses at least is going to be involved somehow in this new moon. It's kind of like things might be feeling new or fresh in some way, but there's something for many people that might still need to be cleared up or organized, or there might need to be just like a tightening of the lid on something. And that's kind of the echo of Saturn here. It might for some people be a sign also to take things slow and or to take things seriously in some sense, or in some relationship, especially if Saturn, for example, rules your 5th house or your 7th house. These are relationship houses. So don't forget Saturn and where he is in your chart, what he rules, because he's involved in this new moon. And Virgo, as I mentioned, is a shadow season. So it's a shadow part of the astrological year. And I would say then try not to pay mind to toxicity, to haters, to bullies, kind of mean things, mean people. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the god of tricks. And a lot of the time with Virgoan energy, we get this kind of trickster energy involved with the internal. So it can be a lot, for example, of anxiety and insecurity and stress caused by something within, especially as insecurity suggests, caused by something within. And also this can sometimes manifest as like projections of these insecurities, stresses, whatever, onto other people and things and situations, aka judgmentalism or overly harsh criticism. These types of things can come out for sure in Virgo season. And with a lot of like this Leonite light being carried from Mercury to this new moon by the moon, we have then grandiosity as well, and righteousness, and not just righteousness, but like kind of overly righteousness as well. So they can be people who are already like on their kind of high horse in some sense when it comes to like judgmentalism, or also wanting to appear like that Virgo archetype as pure, or wanting to appear as like humble as can be, but there's more to it. There's a kind of vested interest. This is a shadow season, so watch out for like those overly kind of righteous displays, especially if it's like butter wouldn't melt type of performances, these things, very Virgoan and very like much ruled by Mercury, that god of tricks. And Mercury rules lies as well, so that god of tricks and lies. And try not to pay it too much mind then. So that's what I would say with this new moon. And especially with Saturn here in this opposition, for some people, it can mean like a temptation to dip into that, because Saturn also is a ruler of more malefic things like deceit and misery and melancholy. So these things can really get in the mix of things for some people. But I would say to try to, in some situations, be the better person, or in some situations, just keep focusing on the overarching dragon energy, which is wisdom. And in Virgo season, a dragon year can very much be about wise decisions and constantly keeping this wisdom of kind of needing to stay in touch with proactive, mindful decision making. So choosing not to engage, that kind of thing. And a lot of astrologers refer to, and occultists refer to Virgo moon and the kind of Virgo moon placement in natal astrology as well as a witch kind of signature or placement. And Virgo as an archetype is the tree whisperer. This is the tree whispering season of the year, and it has a lot to do with extracting from the apparently mundane more divine things, or more enlightening things, or more useful things in terms of information, and being in touch with the ordinary, and being in touch with the surroundings in a very simple way, and also in a way that's very much, we were talking a few videos ago, I think, about the praying mantis, right? I think when we talked about Venus and Virgo, maybe that was it. But it's kind of like this mantis actually coming through, and the way the mantis does this kind of moving, which is actually about balance, but it also kind of looks like this sort of martial art stance. And I believe there is a kung fu art based on the mantis itself. But anyway, it's to do with balance as well, but also brace, like bracing and balance, that kind of thing. Another message I have for this new moon is that if you're happy, be quiet about it. This is a shadow season, so as all shadow seasons often are about, there is more need now to keep those kind of good or precious things a bit more to yourself, like not to air those things too publicly. And that goes also for things like secrets or information or gossip, trying not to air your own laundry or other people's laundry too willy-nilly, that kind of thing. And we have here also with this new moon in Virgo, the illumination of allowing everybody to get exactly what they deserve. That's very important. It's kind of what I get with this new moon in Virgo and Venus ahead there in Libra is kind of the Justice card in the tarot, and kind of this idea or this archetype of not wanting to pursue like retribution or like revenge, that kind of thing, and letting things run their course, and letting things or people get what they deserve in their own way. That's very important in, again, any shadow season, but in Virgo season as well. It can have to do then with your decisions and deciding not to bite, or deciding not to try to teach somebody a lesson about what you think they deserve, that kind of thing. And beware also of trying too hard to say something, or trying too hard to show what you're about. This is kind of, when someone's an artist and they're always telling people that they are an artist, and it kind of has the opposite effect that they want. It has the undesired effect. It puts people off because they're always going on about it. And that kind of dynamic can come through here, where a point is much too hammered, or something is trying too hard to be manifested, or something is like like Fetch in Mean Girls, right? Like, stop trying to make Fetch happen, like, and that kind of thing. Ironically, it kind of did happen, but you know what I mean, right? Like, things that are what they are don't need to proclaim. Yeah, things, people who are certain things, they don't need to explain or tell. They just are. They just glow. They just emanate. They just possess. It could be to do with knowledge as well. They just have the knowledge. And Virgo season is a very humble kind of season. It's a very monkey kind of season, as in monk, not the animal, but as in monk, monkish kind of season. And it's very much about, for a lot of people in many ways, um, knowing quietly what you do know and what you don't know, what you do have, what you don't have, and being content and confident and secure about all of that. This is so important that we wrap these things up now in Virgo season and we come to these things, which are what I mentioned before, assuredness, like being assured with what you know and what you have. So yeah, things like gossip and righteousness as well can be kind of bubbling up or putting pins into the balloons of what we want or have, and threatening. There can be this threatening, prickly, annoying, anal kind of energy, not in the good way. And also this can be righteousness again, but righteousness that kind of has an agenda. So again, watch out for those like soapbox speeches or tirades, and like victimization as well. And I think these kinds of things, like self-victimhood, these kinds of things will also bite us when we have the Pisces full moon, I reckon. They can be, for those over the top people, be just a kind of, okay, you really need to sit the feck down or lie the feck down and like be sick or ill or just out of it for a while because you've been doing too much. That kind of thing can happen when the full moon in Pisces comes around in later in Virgo season. And then we've got Venus in Libra, right? As I mentioned, the grace is being promised. She's in her domicile. I'm going to be back with a Venus in Libra video, by the way, so stay tuned for that. But this is, for a lot of people, getting a grip. So many times with like Venus and Libra, we think of very like soft, silky, beautiful, aesthetic, feminine kind of things, but actually Libra is masculine and it's air. It's a whole other host of sides of Venus that we don't tend to think of, but Venus in Libra is definitely about getting a grip. And Venus, she rules the flow, she rules the rhythm, and she also rules rituals and cycles. And we've already been through a Venus in Virgo transit, which really hammered home the need to really organize certain rituals in our lives, or a certain ritual in our life. And hopefully now we have the hang of it. We've hammered that home for ourselves. And this here Virgo season, it's just like tightening a final knot or bolt or whatever. And we're on the way to this beautiful, more relaxing, more peaceful half of the astrological year. But yeah, it's getting a grip with Venus ahead of this new moon in Libra, and it's making tough but necessary choices for some people. So you can think of Virgo season as kind of like the anxiety of the decision and kind of the divinity of the decision. I often call this to be Virgo, the divinity in the decision, wanting to make decisions based on humility or the purest, almost perfect kind of like vision or ideal. And then you have Libra, which is a cardinal sign and just comes through to be like, enough. We have to make a decision now. We have to actually move and initiate now. We can't dilly-dally anymore. So I think this pull from Venus and Libra as well is helping us actually reach decisions more and do less of the indecision and the dawdling that Virgo season can sometimes have us kind of tangled in, and also the worry that Virgo season can have us tangled in. I hope that this new moon is nice and zesty and zealous for a lot of people, and that there aren't those worries And if there are those worries, just imagine that you have Venus in Libra now, and she is promising that grace, right? She's promising that smoothness of the ironed out silk, right? That's what she's promising for us in our Libra house later when Libra season comes. And also, another thing I wanted to mention before I kind of start to finish, but another thing I wanted to mention is that we recently had the official stationing to retrograde of Uranus in Taurus. Now, Uranus has been in Taurus for a long, 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 long time, but very recently has just started to retrograde. And this is around this new moon as well. So unexpected blessings and good vibes can really be mixed with this new moon for a lot of people, and we're probably already feeling them. They might have something to do with our Taurus house itself. So wherever you have Taurus, check that out. And Taurus, of course, makes a natural trine to Virgo in the birth chart. So we have this magical trine energy between what's going on with Uranus right now and Virgo season and this new moon in this here Virgo season. So I really like that kind of magical energy for a lot of people. And it can, again, there's this emphasis on unexpected as well. So new moons don't usually have that kind of unexpected element to them. That's more like full moons domain. But I think there is a slice here or a slither here of something unexpected and pleasantly so for a lot of people around this new moon. And finally, the divinity in the decision, as I mentioned, that's Virgo season. That's like making choices based on your connection to who you actually are, what you actually are, and what you're actually about, and your spirit, your spirituality. Taking that more seriously when you decide things, when you make your choices. And it's like doing the right thing. And also preparing and protecting. Yes, that's quite important. So preparing and protecting. Okay, so thank you for the likes, by the way. If you like what I do, please give me a like. Give me a subscribe as well if you are interested in my work. My name is Hinny. Hi there. Hey, Bixie, how you doing? I'm almost wrapping up, actually, but it's lovely to see you. I hope you're well. So now I'm just going to touch a tiny, tiny, tiny bit on all of the rising signs for this here new moon. Sorry. In Virgo. So first of all, this new moon is going to be particularly good for you're going to book a reading soon, Bexy. Nice. Can't wait for that. For the mutable rising signs, because we have this new moon in one of your cardinal houses. So the cardinal houses in the birth chart are considered to be more significant or important in terms of life events or stuff actually happening, like actually noticing this lunar event rather than like just interpreting or reading into it. There's actually going to be more likelihood for you to feel this astrological event in some sense. And that is then Virgo rising, Sagittarius rising, Gemini rising, and Pisces rising. So the four mutable or double-bodied rising signs. Virgo rising then, let's start with you, shall we? Because this is all about you, Virgo, this new moon. As I mentioned, Virgo moon is a very witch kind of signature, and this is happening in your first house. So a lot of Virgo risings might just be feeling a lot more luminous in some sense or bright. They might literally just be having more of a glow up, and it might even be to the disdain of people who are haters or enemies or whatever. I would say just to like not let that blow you up, like in terms of ego. I would say to remain humble in some sense. But yeah, there might be something pleasant about how you're feeling, Virgo rising, around this new moon. And I kind of wrote here for you feeling yourself as well. So this is kind of like a very Beyonce type of energy. She's a Virgo sun. And you, Virgo, have then the sun and the moon in your first house right now. So you have both the luminaries there meeting, making this beautiful alchemical cazimi. And something for some Virgo risings will be revealed a little later, very soon, that has to do with you and other first house things like your body and your health and your very spirit, and also things like your worldview. You might have a changed view of how to deal with enemies or how to deal with oppositions and obstacles and things like that. Saturn, again, in Pisces in retrograde, still making that opposition to this new moon. And then we have Libra rising. So for Libra risings, this is happening in your 12th house. I would say to pay attention to your dreams, any states of highness as well. So that can be, yes, when you're like smoking or drinking, these types of thing as well. I picture for a lot of Libra risings, maybe just like kind of a nice party around this time where you're getting drunk and you feel amazing, or you're able to release yourself. And maybe for some, it has been quite a while, like a whole month at least, of just feeling quite rough, Libra, or quite, I don't know, focused overly on work, something like that. Because Virgo was where your life path ruler Venus was transiting for that month in Virgo. And I think it's nice now that you're able, some of you Libra risings, to release through like a party or even like a long trip abroad or some kind of trip further afield than you normally go or are, because that's also 12th house. Some of you might also be having some kind of new cycle of meditation or something like deep or spiritually serious to you, because the 12th house is things like isolation and like solace and that kind of thing. Scorpio rising, then, for Scorpio rising. Okay, Scorpio rising, this is your 11th house. So you have the new moon in your 11th house. This is really good, nice things to do with your friends or any group that you are a part of. This can be clubs, societies as well. And this also is the house of your wishes and your ambitions. So there might be a really good feeling for many Scorpio risings right now of feeling renewed confidence in your goals, your motivations, that kind of thing. So it can just be a nice kind of renewal type of feeling. And also it can be a time where you're realizing what more can be snipped. And Scorpio risings tend to love that vibe of how further can I push it? How further can I go? And I think this new moon in Virgo can give you those quiet like details, those subtle things that you can do that snip, snip, snip with, because you also, Scorpio, are one of the 3 snip, snip signs. So I feel like Scorpio risings will like this new moon, or be easily in touch with this new moon, because it makes a natural sextile to your ascendant. So it's very easy for you to be affected by it. Sagittarius rising, then, this is very important for you because you are another mutable or double-bodied sign, just like Virgo. And this is in your 10th house for you. So this is about your job or your career or your reputation. And also this is the house of praxis or big ass actions. And I wrote down for you, Sag, that this is making lots of the right efforts. I do want to say, though, that I feel like some Sagittarius risings are getting tangled in that thing I mentioned earlier of like righteousness and or also trying to be too much or say too much or trying too hard to like push a certain identity or push a certain ideal. And it has an abrasiveness to it, because this is the natural square energy between Virgo and Sagittarius. These two signs square each other. So that's a Martian dynamic. And that's this very like humble Virgoan earth squaring a very masculine, mutable, volatile fire energy. And it can, especially with Jupiter, the ruler of Sag, in Gemini now, it cannot work a lot of the time for Sagittarius rising right now. So there can be, for a lot of Sag risings around this new moon, this realization of like making lots of the right efforts. So like saying the right things and not like the cocky thing, or not like the I don't know, like the punchy thing or the scrappy thing. I get this image of like Scrappy Dappy Doo, um, but like people just rolling their eyes and kind of not really taking it seriously or not wanting to entertain it anymore because it has this lack of seriousness or depth, or has this lack of something that sometimes we need to make a big shift away from or check in a big way. And that's perfect when you have a 10th house transit to take some big actions, make some big changes. And I think for some Sag risings, it's going to be a big snip in the right direction. And I know Sag risings have been having recently a lot of like heaviness on them because Saturn's in Pisces, another square energy to Sag, and then you've got Jupiter, your ruler, Sag, in Gemini, opposing you, and now we have all this Virgo energy squaring you from the other side. So I know for Sag rising, it's not the merriest of years. Anyway, Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising, this is your 9th house. So you're having this new moon in the 9th house. By the way, the sun in Virgo is in your 9th house. So the sun, he's in his joy here in the 9th house. So a lot of you can be feeling great vibes in terms of like, you're able to, I don't know, teach someone something new, or you're able to really shine as a teacher or a guide or a guiding light for some people. Maybe you are able to give great advice, Capricorn, at this time. That kind of thing can be the case. And also for some Capricorn risings, there can be this want, this new want maybe to take a course of some sort at university, or to go on some kind of higher pursuit of knowledge or higher pursuit of the divine or of masculine gods, that kind of thing. And of course, this can be a renewed love for astrology or anything to do with the skies and the stars. Sorry, guys, I don't know. I think I'm coming down with a little cold. It is autumn officially here in Korea, and the temperature is getting colder. Anyway, Aquarius, then Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius rising, this is the 8th house. So this has to do then a lot with debts and contracts that you have with other people, bonds that you make with other people. This is stuff like inheritance as well. This is stuff like favors. And this can also have to do with your partner, if you have a partner or partners, and their baggage and their stuff. And also this can be like, maybe if you are in business, it can be like a new contract with somebody that you're making at this time, or some kind of thing that you're owed or favor is coming to light for you, Aquarius. And for others, this can be about like that kind of wanting to fight and climb or clamber out of some kind of anxiety as well, or even some kind of idleness, because these things are 8th house, anxiety for the future and idleness. So maybe some Aquarius risings are getting this kind of renewed feeling of, no, I'm moving in the right direction, I'm doing the right thing. And it can feel good, especially for those Aquarians who have been like really just like blah and stuck in a rut with those, what I mentioned before, those motivations, those intentions that a lot of people set for themselves back in Aries season almost 6 months ago. Pisces rising, then this is another big rising sign in terms of this new moon, because Pisces, you are a mutable or double-bodied sign. And for you, this is in the 7th house. So this is to do with your partner or partners specifically, and like companions and business partners. And also it's the house of enemies. So there can be a bit of some Pisces risings seeing some enemy or hater shine, or something like that. It can also be like seeing your partner shine or have some kind of Virgoan renewed energy or inspirational kind of energy going on. And it can also be about the other in general and other people in general, and just seeing people maybe in a different light. Now, usually Pisceans are very good at this. They're very like holistic often. They're very romantic often and idealistic. But you do come across sometimes those Pisces risings that can be, um, let's say, like attached to a lot of like shadow energies, overly so. And I think this new moon in Virgo can bring a new vision or a new perception of other people for the Pisces rising. That's more like that's soft. Let's say we do have, remember, Saturn in Pisces right now, so a lot of Pisces risings can be in that kind of lethargic, depressed, melancholic type of dynamic. So there is that, and this new moon can provide a little alleviation. Aries rising, then. For Aries rising, this is your 6th house. So similar to the first, there could be some like health or body things coming up for you for the better. So a lot of Aries risings can experience healing around this new moon, like alleviation of symptoms. And also this is the house of like working towards the career, or the house of like polishing the CV, or like fixing your reputation, doing that snip snip when it comes to these things, because it makes this trine to the 10th house, which we talked about earlier with Sagittarius rising. So this is a perfect time for you if you're in a renewed sort of feeling. It's a perfect time, Aries, for you to work on the CV or your LinkedIn profile, that kind of thing, to really sit down with yourself and take a look at it, and just make some cuts, some minute cuts, and get into the nitty gritty of whatever it is that you want to change or renew or revamp for your CV, for your career. Okay, and by the way, also Aries rising, this can mean for some like a new person you are employing, or a new person you are paying to provide some kind of service for you. And it can have to do with this kind of Virgo season type stuff of finishing things off, or like tightening things up, tying things up. So Aries risings can be doing that. Taurus rising, this is in your 5th house. Now you have this new moon then in the house of things like dating and casual romance and love and children. Children being like human children, but also pets and plants and anything that you nurture and produce and put out there into the world, and consider to be like a child of your own. So that's great for you, Taurus rising. And there can be that sense with Uranus having just gone retrograde in your 1st house of you, like, for example, going back to dating when you didn't for a long time, or the opposite. So you've been dating and dating and dating, and now you're like, no, I'm done. Sorry, guys, I need to just be back. Okay, I'm back. So for Taurus rising, it can be that kind of like suddenly pulling away from, or suddenly pulling back toward some 5th house theme, which could be, like I said, like children or love or dating. And also this is the 5th house of self-pleasure, pleasure for the self. So some Taurus risings can be getting this renewed want to just like go out and have a party, go out and pamper the self, that kind of thing. So I like that for you as well, Taurus. Gemini rising, then, you are the last of the big 4 signs that I think this new moon is really affecting, because you are mutable as well, or double-bodied, like Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. This is in your 4th house, and this is the house of things like your family, your foundations. And I really think for Gemini rising in particular, this is going to be where we have, always with a cazimi, the new moon in this case, we have the moon about to leave the sun, and there will be a secret revealed, or there will be something new and significant revealed to many Gemini risings, because the 4th house is the deepest part of the chart. It is the deepest part of the underworld in natal astrology, and this is where it was said that gods would go to die, but also go to do something mysterious and unknown, even to the astrologer, and then come out the other end, and there would be something revealed. And it is generally the fourth house, the house of mysteries. And yes, it's also the house of family, especially maternal members of the family. So there can be something like new or renewed going on for family for some Gemini risings. And it's the house and the home. I see a lot of Gemini risings doing something at the home in terms of interior design, or getting some maintenance done, that kind of thing. That is like significant. And other things in the fourth house include like roots and your foundations and your past and memory. So there can be something like nice and reinvigorating or inspiring or like zesty, zealous about that for you. Cancer rising then, for Cancer rising, this is in your third house. So all the lunar events are important for you, especially Cancer rising, because it's the moon involved here. And the moon, she is your life path ruler as a Cancer rising. And also, the third house is the joy of the moon. And that's where you're having this here new moon in Virgo. So you're having this new moon in her joy house. And I have, for a lot of you Cancer risings, then a wish kind of come true finally, or it's about to come true finally for some people. And especially because we have Uranus in your 11th house, making that retrograde. So there could be some turn. And again, there's that element of unexpectedness. So I don't think a lot of you were actually thinking it would go the way it did go or is about to go, but it does. So I like that for you, Cancer rising. And the third house is also to do with siblings and friends and neighbors, localities, including digital localities. So you might just be feeling very much more inspired to go online and interact online in many different ways with many different people. You might be making friends online more than you usually would, or maybe even for the first time. So that's something for some Cancer risings. Finally then, Leo rising. So Leo rising, of course, not least. Leo rising, this is also an important event for you because, of course, every new moon involves the sun, and the sun, he is your life path ruler, and it's happening this new moon in your second house. So I like this in terms of your effort, and you're feeling like the fruits of your effort. You're feeling in some way, Leo, that you've made or you are making the right decisions when it comes to your life. And the second house also is the house of money and your assets and your spending. So maybe like you're getting some renewed sense of that, especially because the sun is your life path ruler. What I've been saying in some readings as well for people who are Leo rising is like, you have the life path ruler in the second house. So you have first house and second house themes like automatically intertwined. And so what I get here for a lot of Leo risings is a lot of investment of money into the self. So maybe some Leo risings are like, I don't know, investing in like a confidence course or some kind of wardrobe revamp or something like that, or getting a personal trainer, or focusing more on like self-help, that kind of thing, mental health, that kind of thing as well. And also the second house is about nutrition and input in terms of like nutrients and like what we put in our bodies. So maybe some of you are having, Leo, this kind of revamp or renewal when it comes to your eating, your diet, that kind of stuff. And also it's a house of your possessions. So quite simply, a new moon in the second house can mark like a new toy that you buy for yourself, a new possession, a new gadget, a new car even. It's anything that you can like move that is yours. That's the second house. So that's what I have for you, my loves. Thank you for tuning in. for those who came to the live as well. And let me know in the comments later, for those watching later, how your Virgo season is going and if you're feeling anything significant around this new moon in Virgo. Have a lovely evening or morning wherever you are, lovely day, and I'll be back soon with a video on Venus in Libra. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.